Why are there not more Shohei Ohtanis? Let's just start there, period.
Because it's really impossible, almost impossible to do.
Okay, but
That's why there hasn't been any. Babe Ruth, 100 years ago.
Donnie Joseph wrote an article in The Athletic about how Ohtani was supposed to usher in a two-way player revolution, and included in the article is that rule change that might be preventing it, which we'll get into in a second. I just want to preface what I said. When I say Ohtani, I mean anybody that can pitch and hit in the big leagues, not be a superstar at both.
It's too hard.
To even get
It's too hard.
an average player.
It's too hard.
You think that's the only reason?
Because people, one, can't recover enough. And the guys who have tried to do it, like remember Brooks Kieschnick back in the day? He tried to do it, but he was a reliever. Remember him? Like he tried to do it.
That's fine, though. I mean, Michael Lorenzen's a more recent example.
Yeah, but he couldn't do it either. I mean, because you either don't pitch well enough or you don't hit well enough. There's one guy, that guy right there, Shohei Ohtani, that can do both. He's the only one I've ever seen that was able to do both. Either you get hurt and you can't hit, or you get hurt and you can't pitch and you're too tired. Plus, nobody else is 6'5", 240 or whatever the heck Shohei, and runs like a deer and is just a super athlete. Like there's one, this guy, when we say he's a unicorn, this dude is a unicorn. He is one of one. There's one guy, and his name is Shohei Ohtani. And there have been others of Brendan McKay?
Mhm.
He was drafted as a two-way guy.
He got hurt a lot.
All these guys have tried it,
Yeah.
but one of them isn't good enough. There's one guy that can do this. There's been two guys in the history of baseball that's been able to do this. Babe Ruth, who didn't really pitch and hit at the same time. He pitched and then he hit, kind of.
Mhm.
And then Shohei Ohtani. Other than that, that's been it. Nobody else can do this. It's next to impossible to do this.
Guys
too
try
hard.
it frequently. Even
It's too hard.
obviously in college, but then even in the pros. I mean, there's recent guys. Jack Caglianone was a
not a
star in
pitcher,
college.
Jack Caglianone's not a pitcher.
I understand.
I'm a Gator fan. I watch Jack Caglianone play almost every game. He wasn't a pitcher.
He was a hitter.
He
was
threw
bad.
hard. He could throw kind of
He
hard,
threw well.
but he didn't throw a lot of strikes, right? I mean, he was a good college pitcher, right?
Mhm.
He was an above average college pitcher. But what can he be as a big league? He could be a 50 homer guy for you, 40, 50 homer guy every year. That's what happens is teams see one, and they say, well, they go to these players and they say, hey, Jack, you could be a 40 homer guy every year, or you could be a 20 homer guy and a 7-7 pitcher every year. Which one would you rather be? And he's like, I'll take the 40 homers and 500 million. Check, please.
I'll add one to you. And if you make a decision, you will be in the big league significantly quicker.
Absolutely.
Example right now, Nolan McClain. He was a two-way player in the pros. They're like, you should pitch. You'll be up pretty quick. Boom, he's up for the Mets.
I've never seen Nolan McClain play the field. I've seen Brendan McKay when he first came up, and Cronenworth. I faced Cronenworth in the minor leagues. I faced him back-to-back nights. Came out of the bullpen. The first night he opened. The second night he came out of the bullpen. He opened. He was 94 to 96, I think. Whacked him because I didn't whack him, but straight heater. Next night he comes out. He was 91 to 93. He played the rest of the game at second base the night before, or at shortstop, I think. And then he played the next game at shortstop, and then he came in and pitched. Like it is hard to do. Yesterday, AJ was talking about how banana ball is like good baseball. There are people who can do really good baseball things in a banana ball game. Two-way guys, they can do really good baseball things. Jake Cronenworth hit 96 on the radar gun. In the game, I saw him. Brendan McKay threw left-handed. His swing was good, but the big leagues are that much better. The big leagues, you have to be that much better to play the position you're playing that day. And to have to do that at two positions, it just doesn't happen. It's too hard. And in my opinion, they shouldn't have a rule that's league-wide that affects one player. One player.
That's what this article is about. So let's dive into that for part 2 of this discussion. So this article said starting in 2020, the Ohtani rule altered who qualified to have two-way classification on an official roster. To officially get that distinction, a pitcher or player would need to pitch in 20 innings and play in at least 20 MLB games as a position player or a DH with at least 3 plate appearances in each game in either the current or previous season. That matters because, of course, if you're a two-way player, it doesn't count towards the limit of 13 pitchers on a 26-man roster. Jake Cronenworth is quoted in this story saying that held him back. He said he got reps pitching in AAA, like Kratz is talking about, through bullpen sessions when he was acquired by the Padres. But he said, quote, why does somebody need to qualify for something they've already proven they can do in college or the minor leagues, and all of a sudden they have to qualify to do it in the major leagues? To me, that doesn't make any sense. Now you're taking away this guy's natural ability to do two things at a high level, and now you have to make them basically earn it again. So he said, and outside of getting the two-way classification, the only way a hitter can pitch in a game or vice versa would be in a game that goes to extras or when their team's either winning or trailing by 6 runs or more in a contest. That's when we see the position players pop up. So Cronenworth said you could go 4 games where you have that. You could go 3 weeks where you never have that. So you're getting put on the roster as a hitter, but you're a two-way guy. You can only pitch in certain situations. So if you put a guy on the roster as a pitcher, you're now taking away that bullpen spot, which is critical to teams. I'm adding that part. And then Cronenworth said that was really the thing that hurt all the two-way guys.
Makes sense. What he's saying makes sense. But they made this rule for Shohei, right? They made this rule for Shohei.
Is it right?
Not if it's affecting other people from being able to do it.
That's what Cronenworth claims.
So they would have, like, what they're saying basically is Cronenworth had to be designated a two-way guy. But because he didn't qualify with enough innings or on the mound, then he would count as a pitcher and a hitter, and you're really only playing 25 against 26 is basically what they're playing in a pitcher short, which is the bigger problem.
No team wants to do that.
No team wants to do that, so therefore they won't call guys up.
So they're like, hey, go this route, go that route. No,
didn't they just change that rule, though? After Ohtani missed the year last year, didn't they change it?
Yeah, they tweaked it again to say what? It was for this year or the year before or something like that, right? So it counted multiple spots. They are making it an Ohtani rule.
Yeah.
But this case is, hey, you're hurting us. Now, we don't have proof that someone's saying, hey, we're not going to groom this guy as a starter or as a pitcher and a position player because of this rule. But I think it's a valid point from Cronenworth. You're put in a tough position to actually get this status. And if you're a superstar, who cares? You're going to rack that up in 5 seconds. But if not, Kratz, the only other thing he brought up is you could have your bench guy who comes in, makes a start, sometimes pinch hitter at the end of the game, also available in the bullpen. So now you kind of have this super utility bench guy playing 150 games a year, some as a pitcher, some as a hitter. He said that would be the next best thing. But I read that, I'm like, damn, how are you going to find a guy that's doing that? That's not easy either.
Because he's not coming in to pitch any high leverage games, because then he wants to get his 70 appearances out of the bullpen so he can get paid. It's not like as a backup, like I think somewhere in there you have a backup catcher. Lorenzen, he would come in and play left field. I remember when he was with the Reds, but he was definitely a pitcher. He just got some good swings off and hit some dingers. But like, let's say a backup catcher, he's probably not that good of a hitter, or he'd be the starting catcher. He comes in and pitches. Now all of a sudden he's throwing, in this day and age, you can't come in and throw anything less than 97 if you're coming in a game in useful spots. Now it's like, well, why don't you just pitch all the time? Because you stink as a hitter. So to me, it inhibits. This rule is only helping Ohtani, really, but to me, it's pointless. To me, it's hurting more people than it's helping, and the few people that it's hurting, it's so silly that it's getting in their way.
So will we get a two-way player unless it's a superstar? Can you get a more mid two-way player? It's got to be superstar status where it's worth it.
How do you get to the point, though, where you count as only one player? Because you have to be able to pitch in enough games, right, to get to that point. And those games don't happen enough in a regular season. So how would you ever get to that point? Here's what they should happen. They should make, yes, the rule is fine if they want to have this rule, but there should be, like, when a guy comes up, all right, he's a two-way guy, and you get a year or two to get this numbers, right, to get these numbers under his feet so he can then carry this over. But in order just to say, you have to do this your first year, it's not going to happen because the team doesn't want to be down a pitcher.
Wait, I actually like this. You incentivize teams to promote two-way players.
That's what they want to do.
And say, hey, you get a two-way player spot. Even if that player doesn't end up working out, at least you gave it a shot, and that player has to participate in X amount of...
But every team, yes.
I like that.
But the pitcher has to pitch. The guy has to pitch.
You have to do both. Otherwise, you're cheating the system.
Yes, he has to pitch.
Yeah, it's a little complicated, but I like it because it would incentivize teams to get that extra spot if they're actually
because nobody can get to those innings limits.
Yeah.
Because if you're not designated a two-way,
it's impossible.
Position, that's what I'm saying. It's impossible to ever get there. So Shohei's the only guy that could ever do it.
Well,
because they made this rule after he was already there.
No, but also with Shohei, let's say he's starting from scratch. He's like when he starts his career, he's in the rotation, so he's going to rack up the innings, and then he's also DHing, so he's racking up. So he's counting
the first 3 weeks.
But the team is playing down a pitcher while he's just on the roster.
Well, he's counted as a rotation member.
But they're still down a pitcher.
Right.
With the rule now, they don't lose the pitcher. You can only have 13 pitchers, right? So he'd have to be designated a pitcher.
Right, but
they're playing with 13, right?
Yeah, but let's say Ohtani missed the next 2 years.
No, let's not use Ohtani. We'll use Cronenworth.
Okay.
Cronenworth's a starting pitcher.
Yep.
Okay.
In the rotation,
right? But then he's hitting or whatever, however they want to use him. But then they're basically down a position player of the games he pitches, because he can't. If he's pitching, they usually don't take the pitcher and put him in at second base or outfield or shortstop or wherever they want to put him for that game, first base, because they're like, oh, he's got to get his arm stuff in. That's why Ohtani pitcher to DH is fine, right? But they're still down a pitcher because if they want to use Lorenzen, we use Lorenzen. If he's a reliever, then you're really screwed.
Reliever is more complicated.
For me, really screwed.
Rotation makes sense. I mean, if you have a 5-man rotation.
There's very few guys that can hit well enough, though, to justify pitching once every 5th or 6th day and then playing the field every 4 days. There's very few people that can do that.
The concept is if he's a starter, Kratz, you have a 5-man rotation. That pitcher counts, right, until he classifies as a DH. So MLB is looking at it as, hey, you've got your 5. There's your 5. He's included in your 5. And then you have your 13 pitcher max, right? So you have your 8 relievers. So they're saying you're getting dinged a little bit, but not really. I mean, you're going to get the advantage, really. It creates an advantage. So if you're in the rotation, you do your 20 innings or whatever it is. Now you're a two-way player. Now you get to add another reliever. So it actually does incentivize the teams a little bit right now.
Not really.
Am I getting this right, Kratz? Where are you on this?
I think it gets in the way. If this is something Major League Baseball really wants, to me, the rule is getting in the way. You have to lower the amount of innings, because it's going to take somebody a lot of time to rack up 20 innings.
Not as a starter, but as a reliever.
Yeah, but it's not happening. The big leagues.
The
big leagues. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying it's a month.
It's a month. You're losing a month of a player.
Michael Lorenzen, didn't he?
I agree.
Didn't Lorenzen promote this in the offseason, saying that he could do that? It just came to me.
He would jump right in. He'd have his 20 innings already.
So, okay, I found it. When he was pitching himself as a two-way player, he said, I can log 20 games, 3 plate appearances each of those games as a position player or DH. Then I can become a 14th pitcher on your roster, because at that point it doesn't count against the roster limit. And that a non-contender can do that and then trade him to a contender. Obviously, you'd have to do that at the beginning of the season, and no team's going to be like, besides 3 of them, are going to be like, okay, we'll just do this and eat the at-bats. But it's a cool concept. I remember we covered it. Do you remember we talked about it in the offseason?
I think they should change it to where every team gets a grace period on a two-way player. Right, Kratzy? Like, just say, hey, if you want to have a two-way player, if they want to incentivize it, then do it like that. Make it to where it's incentivized for the teams to do it, not just
make it easier. It might happen.
People want to see Jack Caglianone throw 97 miles an hour from the left side. Obviously, they don't know the intricacies of the fact that he can't locate his fastball as well as a big league pitcher should. They want to see 97. They're like, well, that dude just hit a 450-foot dinger. Now he's throwing 97. To me, let everybody have it. Maybe some teams will take advantage of it, but everybody's on the same level. Right now, it's getting in the way of the 3 or 4 guys that possibly could do it at a big league level.
Okay. Anyway, good discussion. If you're watching this afterwards, let us know your thoughts in the comments. We don't need the trolling. Just what would you do to get more two-way players into the show? That's what I'd like to see in the comments. Anyway, we showed you some Ohtani, a little bit of Jack Caglianone, and many more. Best cards in the marketplace. One spot, Arena Club. arenaclub.com/foul. Use the code FOUL for 20% off your first card purchase on the platform. And yes, for those of you that asked, you can get the card sent to you itself, or you can buy, sell, trade, do the whole thing, or your first slab pack, 20% off with code FOUL.